I don't know what's been going on at Xiaomi head office when designing the Mi Note series. This is the Pro one, brand new and with 4GB of RAM and QHD screen, of which more later. I'll skip the Chinese accent, but essentially, let's get this straight. We make most of our money from services and software through stores, right? Yes, well, plus repair fees from our service centres. Okay, well, how about we try and make our new phone as breakable as possible, all the user's fault, so that we can maximise the repair side of things? Well, what do you mean? Well, how about we make it just a bit too big to hold comfortably? We make the back all glass and we add a special high-tech coating that makes it as slippery as humanly possible. People will be dropping them all the time. They'll never blame us because it was them that dropped it, and we make $100 a time from the screen replacements. Brilliant! Okay, so that's tongue-in-cheek, but I have to call out Xiaomi and, to be fair, Samsung and others for this modern trend of slippery, curved, smooth glass everywhere. The Mi Note slides off almost every firm, level surface I've tried on. It almost needs its own velvet cushion. There is no way I'd ever use this phone without some kind of TPU-style case off eBay. Ditto the Galaxy S6, in which case, what on earth is the point in making all this slippery glass in the first place? It's a marketing trick that users pay for through the nose and rarely get to use out and about in real life. Rant over though. What we have here, and it's my first experience of any Xiaomi hardware, is a very powerful, very fast, no frills Android smartphone. It does nothing whatsoever better than other flagships, but it's a pretty great all-rounder, coming in at just over £400 when imported into the UK. Natural competitors, well, the imminent OnePlus 2 springs to mind, plus the Samsung Galaxy Note 4, of course, almost a year old now, around the same end price though, new and with similar specs. One initial hurdle turns out not to be a hurdle at all. Assuming you've managed to buy one of these and have it shipped to your country, which is relatively easy it seems if you don't mind a week's shipping delay, you see, Google's Play Store and indeed all Google apps are apparently banned in China, so Xiaomi currently just ships devices destined for global use with a special developer ROM with a side-loaded installation of the Play Store client, so that users outside of China can sign in and grab all their usual dependables. In practice, a few minutes downloading the Play Store and I had all my usual applications on hand. In fact, closer than usual, since everything appears and only appears on the home screens. Yes, Huawei style, there's no application drawer. But yet again, I rather like the simplicity of the idea, and I prefer it to playing the, oh darn, where's my app, game on other devices. The Mi Note Pro is something of a mashup of ideas and designs we've seen many times before. There's Samsung's capacitive button layout with back on the right, plus the Note 4's form factor and metal frame. The overall home screen UI, plus the camera and flash layout and design, is very, well, iPhone-esque. On the left side is an unusual double SIM tray, one with micro SIM and one slot for nano SIM, which is great if you hate finding adapters like me, or perhaps if you wanted to use two SIMs at the same time. LTE, i.e. 4J, was no problem for me on the Mi Note Pro, but the frequencies do vary across the world, so do check, especially if you're in the USA. The 5.7-inch LCD QHD screen is bright, crisp and colourful, though I found I had to have the auto slider all the way up in practice to maximum most of the time. In theory, there's hardware-level pixel adjustment in sunlight to aid contrast, and I could see this working. But without circular polarizers, the overall visibility outdoors was still a long way behind my old Nokias with clear black display, and I found it hard seeing what I was doing when mobile in the sun, for example, taking photos. Not that we get that much sun in the UK, but most of the rest of the world might be in trouble here, albeit no more than on other competing devices. On the bottom is the slightly misleading jack, which looks a little bit like USB-C in that you can't tell which way round it operates, but it turns out to be regular old micro USB. The mono speaker here is pretty loud. It's a bit of Gary for you. Gary Moore, RIP. It's nowhere near the best in the smartphone world in terms of speakers. They think HTC One M8 and Nexus 6, for example. A headphone output via the 3.5mm jack on the top is excellent. Xiaomi take their wired audio very seriously. The 13 megapixel camera with f/2.0 aperture and OIS is excellent. in all but the usual low light moving subject conditions. See the samples and crops here for an idea of quality. It doesn't match the LG G4, the current all-round champion, but it's not a million miles off. By default, everything's in auto HDR mode, which can cause some sunny shots to be more dramatic than they need to be. But it's easy to turn off HDR if you want a slightly more natural look. Detail is good and processing within acceptable limits. In low light, the OIS helps a lot, plus there's a special multi-shot night mode which works wonders. As seen here, this was almost pitch darkness. Again, moving objects will be an issue, but it's nice to have in your toolbox. One unique user interface element in the camera is being able to tap to focus and then rotate around the focus point to fine-tune the exposure. This works brilliantly and is sure to be copied by others. Video is 1080p by default, and at a 4K maximum there's no way to grab 8 megapixel stills from this using the built-in software, but it's absolutely not a problem because the burst mode for stills, I'll demonstrate, is so fast. It's around 20 photos per second. So in the event of a kid's sports day or a dog jumping or whatever, you just hold down the capture icon and grab 50 or 60 photos at the right time with almost no gap between them. Job done. On the software side, it's enough to get set up with a typical set of Android applications out of the box. Though the Xiaomi written alternatives to what you're used to, they do cover the basics of browsing, calendar, email and so on, albeit synced to your Mi Cloud account and not to Google, at least until you've signed into the latter. It's also a little galling to have effectively duplicates littered around your home screen, necessitating a trash-style folder of all the bits you won't be using. Ah well. Also worth noting is that because of the China source and the current need to ship with the developer firmware in order to get the Play Store up and running, the Mi Note Pro is provisioned out of the box with debugging and unknown source permissions both turned on. Something I only realised when playing with Xiaomi's supplied security audit utility. Users need to be absolutely sure to close these security holes, as I quickly did. Apparently, Xiaomi will soon start shipping the Mi Note Pro with a proper global firmware that includes Google and is also locked down better. Phew. The theme engine here is a nice idea, but the theme store was very flaky and slow for me. Plus, the novelty of making your Android powerhouse look even more like an iPhone soon wears off. There's still mileage in setting it all up and then telling your friends, I've got the new iPhone 7. Oh, the fun to be had. There are hundreds, if not thousands of themes here to choose from, so you can knock yourself out anyway. A novel swipe across the capacitive keys gives this one-handed mode. You can even choose from 3 different sizes. Though if you have to use this in the first place, then what was the point in buying the Mi Note Pro? Get something smaller and cheaper. In use, the Mi Note Pro is very fast thanks to the Snapdragon 810 inside, though the trademark heat issues were noticeable. Even just exploring the UI, I could feel the device getting warm. After shooting half a dozen photos, it was definitely up beyond body temperature. And I think Google was right to stick to the Snapdragon 805 for its Nexus 6. The QHD screen and the hot processor do have an impact on battery life, with the 3000 mAh sealed cell just about lasting a full day with careful use. Play too few many games, shoot too much video, and you'll be charging for tea time, as usual. As ever, manufacturers just give us an extra millimetre of thickness and another 1000 mAh of battery capacity. Someone, please. I did like that the battery settings panes allowed the breakdown of where the power's going by either application or by hardware, so you really can look at this from either point of view. My wife says that the Mi Note Pro would look great when sliding it out of a handbag, and there's definitely something feminine about the device, helped by the white finish here with the gold edging. It's also available in black though. It's elegant, it's smooth, and it's over £200 cheaper than the Galaxy S6 Edge. At the end of the day though, I can't see many phone show viewers opting to import one of these. There's nothing intrinsically wrong with the Mi Note Pro. In many ways, it's an Android powerhouse. But at the same time, you can get more functions, more flexibility, more familiarity, and more manufacturer and retailer support from a vanilla Galaxy Note 4 for roughly the same outlay, now in summer 2015 pricing. Of course, Xiaomi do other models, which we may well cover in due course. Plus, there's every chance that the company may open up a distribution chain in other markets, like the UK, which will help the phones get in more people's hands outside China.